Shalom, I'm Rabbi Jonathan Ginsburg of the Ezra Habodim Niles Township Jewish Congregation, Skokie. This video is about capital punishment. Just reading in today's headline about how increasingly people are expressing a sense of discomfort with capital punishment. So what is the Jewish view? Well, first of all, we always start with the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, our holiest text, and there are more than 36 situations of crimes in the Torah that are punishable by death, including Makat Ishu Mate Mot Yumat from Exodus. If someone comes to strike you and kills someone, and so it's premeditated murder, you can kill that one. Now the 10 Commandments do say Lo Tirtzach, do not murder, but that's not the same. We're forbidden to murder. It's not the same as the saying that the society doesn't have a right to kill people who commit violent and vicious crimes. Now, when you get to the Talmud, which is about 1,300 years after Moses, the oral law, which is finally written down, there is a discussion about capital punishment, extensive discussion. In the main paragraph in the Mishnah, which deals with this, the first part of the Talmud, this is written down by the year 220 of the Common Era, there's the following. One rabbi said, if there was one capital punishment in a reign of 7 years of the Sanhedrin, then it was a bloody reign of the Sanhedrin. The next rabbi said if there was one in 70 years, it was a bloody reign. So those two rabbis were saying that the Sanhedrin, which was the highest Jewish court, made it virtually impossible to execute someone. Then the third rabbi said something that pro-capital punishment supporters would agree with. He said, if you have that attitude, then you'll multiply the shedders of blood. In other words, if you have no capital punishments, then people will have less fear of the law and will do more murder. Now, why did the rabbis make it so tough to convict someone? Well, you needed to have 2 kosher witnesses, reliable witnesses, who saw the crime about to be committed, who warned the person the crime they were about to commit was a capital crime, and then the person would have to do it anyway. Circumstantial evidence was not permitted in capital cases. There's even a situation where you see somebody running into a cave with a knife and chasing a fellow. And then the fellow with the knife comes out later with a bloody knife. You go into the cave and you see a man with a knife wound. Can you convict that guy of a capital crime? And the answer was no, because you don't know what happened in the cave. Maybe the fellow changed his mind, and the other one attacked him and tried to kill him. It was self-defense. The other guy fell. You don't know what the situation is. Now, in the case of involuntary manslaughter, the Torah provided a kind of safe haven of 6 cities of refuge where you went to live to avoid blood feuds. But in any case, the Talmud clearly tries to restrict the number of capital crimes. For example, one of the death penalty culpable crimes in the Torah is a stubborn and rebellious child. Well, who hasn't felt at some point their child was stubborn and rebellious? So the rabbis in the Talmud said there's never been a case like that. And then one rabbi said, well, there was one case. But who knows what that kid did? I mean, we can imagine a kid who committed mass murder or something, a teenager. But in any case, by and large, Judaism said, yes, there is capital punishment, but you have to have absolute overwhelming evidence, and it has to be for very limited cases and very rare. And so again, Judaism is a pro-life bias religion, respecting life and taking it only under the most severe degrees, but it strikes a middle ground, again, as it does sensibly in most cases, between the extreme views of never capital punishment and regular capital punishment. I think Hitler deserved to die, and I think people who commit genocide and treason in a time of war and other brutal situations may forfeit their right to life, as the Bible teaches. But certainly it shouldn't be done cavalierly, and you have to be very careful given the problems in the current administration of the legal system to make sure there's absolute overwhelming evidence. That would be, I think, a fair statement and summary of the Jewish perspective.